on a roll. Here's chapter 30 on the same day that I did 28 and 29 because I can't stop reading. Chapter 30. You're really still going to make me dance? Sophie whined as Edeline handed her the stupid opening ceremony's costume to change into. Why did she let Elwyn tell everyone she was 100% recovered when he checked her that morning? She should have asked him for a get out of dressing like an elephant free card. Being part of the mascot dance at the Foxfire opening ceremonies is a tremendous honor, Sophie, Edeline told her. Tonight will be a night you remember for the rest of your life. Oh, she had no doubt about that. She just had a feeling it would go down in history as the night Sophie Foster tripped on her trunk and fell on her face in front of the entire elven world. But Edeline looked so proud and excited, and it would be nice to do something fun with her family for a change. Plus, she'd get to see Alden again. Elwyn had assured her that he was completely healed, and Fitz had told her the same thing when she tried reaching him with her imparter that morning. But she needed to see him for herself. With no more gash on his forehead or burn on his skin, then she'd really know he was okay. So she didn't argue too much as Edeline left her to get ready. She tried pulling back part of her hair and even put on one of the lip glosses Bianna had given her, but Iggy still made a snickering sound when she put on her costume. Sophie was glad her mirror wasn't a spectral mirror. Bertina would have had quite a lot to say if she could have seen her in all her floppy-eared glory. Her furry feet made it even harder to walk as she climbed the stairs to the Leap Master, and she slipped on the smooth floor, landing on her butt with a thud. At least the costume had some extra padding to cushion the fall. You're going to love this, Grady told her as she rushed to help her up. My cat just knocked something off the table. Somehow she doubted love was ever going to be a word to describe this process, but it was nice to see a smile on Grady's face again. He looked almost regal, with his amber-brown cape clasped at the base of his neck with the ruined crest. Edeline stood beside him, looking like a Disney princess in her long amber-encrusted gown and silky cape. Hold on, do you hear my cat playing with that? Kitty! Don't play with... No, kitty. Are you still gonna play with it? You don't need to play with that right now, kitty. Okay? Sorry. It really wasn't fair that they got to look stylish and elegant, and she had to look like a shaggy elephant. Even Sandor had changed into amber brown pants. Does he really have to come? Sophie whined. Thousands of people are going to be there. There's no way the kidnappers are going to try anything. One can never be sure of such things, Sandor corrected. It is just as possible that... Kitty! Back to Sandor. Hold on. One can never be sure of such things, Sandor corrected. It is just as possible that they could decide the chaos of a crowd is the perfect opportunity to make their move, and I'm not going to allow that risk. You're not leaving my side again. Except for your performance, of course. Are you sure that's safe? Maybe I should sit with you on the sidelines. Grady laughed. Nice try, kiddo. You're dancing. Sophie glowered at the ground. Sandor handed her a flat golden disc about the size of a human penny. I assume you have a pocket hidden somewhere in that fur. Keep that inside it. There were dozens of pockets running down each of her legs, which Sophie thought was strange, but she hesitated before slipping the disc into one. What is it? A tracking device. I've had them sewn into all of your permanent clothes, but not your costume since you'll be returning it. He'd put trackers on your clothes? Oh, he'd put trackers in her clothes? How many different ways was she being watched? She was tempted to fling the tracker back at him and insisted they be removed from the rest of her things. But it wasn't worth the fight, at least not that night. Whoa, Sophie whispered as the Foxfire building glittered into focus. A vibrant orange F glowed across the glass pyramid, casting a fiery haze over the entire campus. Thin blue strands of light hung like luminous icicles in all the trees and dangled from the garlands that were draped across the main building. But the most striking effect was the glowing green mushrooms blanketing every inch of the grassy fields. Sophie smiled, remembering how much she'd teased Fitz about attending a school named after glowing fungus. Now they were decorating with it. The mushrooms were as big as her feet, and Sophie crouched to get a closer look. I thought bioluminescent plants only grew in caves. They usually do, Grady said as he crouched beside her. But these are a special type of mushroom the gnomes cultivate just for this event. Sophie stood, squinting at the F on the pyramid, which seemed to shift between orange and yellow. Is that fungus too? It's actually a kind of mold, and the blue lights are a rare type of glowworm. What? Don't worry, they're far too busy eating the mandible leaves they're dangling from, Edeline promised, and they're harmless anyway. But why are they here? The glowing fungus she understood, sort of, but worms? Grady laughed. Bioluminescent light is the only natural light in the deepest, darkest places on this earth, and Foxfire Academy is all about training our future generations to shine just as boldly. What better way to mark the start of a new school year than be lighting our path with their special kind of glow? Sophie was tempted to point out that worms and fungus didn't seem all that special, but then she took another look. The campus really was breathtaking, even if it did make her skin crawl. She kept toward the center of the path as they wound their way past the outbuildings to the main auditorium, and Sandor placed his meaty hand on her shoulder as they walked. For once, she didn't mind. The black capes the level 1 parents were wearing made it all too easy to imagine the kidnappers wandering among them. The crowd gathered along the edge of the round courtyard in front of the auditorium's entrance. All the bushes that lined the circle had been twisted and trimmed into the 6 levels' mascots and lit with more glowworms. The mastodon was by far the largest, and Sophie couldn't help feeling a bit proud to be a level 3, especially when she saw how ridiculous all the other costumes were too. The gremlins had black noses and furry gloves, and the halcyons had blue feathered arms and red beaks, and the dragons had leathery green bodysuits with spikes running down their backs, and the saber-toothed tigers had long red-orange striped tails and pointed white fangs hanging from their hoods, right next to their eyes. But the worst was the yetis, in their head-to-toe bushy white fur. Sophie tried to find her friends, but with the shadows in the costume, it was impossible to tell who was who. Maybe that was the point. No one was popular or unpopular, important or unimportant. They were all just Foxfire prodigies waiting to start the next year. The chimes rang with the same fanfare Sophie remembered hearing in Eternalia, and as everyone fell silent, the 12 counselors appeared in all their finery in the center of the courtyard. The crowd erupted with applause, though Sophie noticed that several of the adults around her didn't clap, and each counselor was flanked by 2 bodyguards. "Welcome to the beginning of another year at Foxfire," Counselor Emery announced, raising his arms. "We fully expect this year will be the greatest year the Academy has ever seen, and we look forward to watching all of the greatness unfold." Maybe they should spend less time watching and more time actually doing something for a change, someone near Sophie whispered, and someone else snorted in agreement. Maybe then we wouldn't have to worry about our children being taken. "We understand things have been a bit uncertain in recent weeks," Counselor Emery continued, almost like he'd heard the murmurings. "And we want to assure you that we are working tirelessly to restore the peace and order we've enjoyed for millennia. Our world has changed, but change is not always a bad thing. When we resolve this situation, and it will be resolved, our world will be stronger, smarter, more prepared for whatever else time may throw our way. Make no mistake that we will endure this unrest and bring an end to these rebellions." There was a smattering of applause, but Sophie suspected it wasn't the resounding celebration the council was hoping for. She could see Bronte's scowl deepen even in the dim light. "We also have some other news, which we suspect you will find most encouraging," Counselor Emery added, his voice booming even louder. "Some of you may have already heard the rumors about the timeline being reset, and we are happy to confirm tonight that the rumors are indeed true. A second alicorn has been discovered, a healthy, magnificent female." The collective gasps made Sophie smile. If they only knew how stinky and annoying Sylvanie could be. Though she was extremely grateful for the peaceful night of sleep Sylvanie had given her. The remarkable creature is currently in the process of being rehabilitated, but we are confident she will be moved to the sanctuary soon, Counselor Emery continued, and we will prepare her to bring forth not just a new life for her species, but a new hope for our world, a promise of restoration, a promise of survival. This time, the cheering and applause was so loud it hurt Sophie's ears. Maybe she was imagining it, but the counselor's smile looked relieved as Counselor Emery promised an update soon and welcomed them once again to the opening ceremonies. And now, he added, stepping back in line with the other counselors, let us celebrate our future. The counselors flashed away amid more applause. Then another chime sounded, and the intricate golden doors to the main auditorium slowly parted, bathing the crowd in the yellow glow from inside. Dame Alina stepped onto the landing and smiled at the crowd as she smoothed the silky fabric of her elaborate orange cape and gown. She tossed her dark wavy hair and raised her hands to quiet everyone. Lords and ladies, sirs and madams, parents and prodigies, as Foxfire's principal, it is my great honor to welcome all of you to tonight's festivities. Let the Foxfire open ceremonies begin. Chapter 31. A mentor at the door directed Grady and Edeline to their seats in the stadium and sent Sophie down to the floor level with the other performers. Sandor tried to follow, but the mentor insisted the rehearsal area was for prodigies and faculty only. I'll keep an eye on her, a familiar voice volunteered. Sophie grinned as she spun to face a tall mentor with olive skin and light blonde hair. Sir Tiergan! Just Tiergan, he corrected, true to form. You seem surprised to see me. Have you been hoping you'd find a mentor who could actually match your incredible abilities? Actually, I already have that. You're very kind, but we both know I can never match you. There's my cat again. Sandor protested as Tiergan led Sophie away, but Tiergan reminded him that only mentors and prodigies were allowed where Sophie was going, and that he'd be much more useful to her by keeping an eye on the audience where any real threat would be hiding. Sandor didn't look happy about it, but he stalked off to catch up with Grady and Edeline. I take it you've seen the change with your telepathy session this year, Tiergan said as he brought Sophie down the stairs to the cold silver room that served as the preparation area. Costumed prodigies shouted over each other, and groups of mentors struggled to line them up by grade level. I hope you don't mind having Fitz in there with you. No, I like Fitz. I mean, I don't like him. We're friends, not anything. It's fine. She finished, feeling her face burn. Well, it wasn't my first choice, Tiergan mumbled, fidgeting with the topaz-encrusted F, pinning his bright orange cloak. But if he can get past your blocking, I suppose it'll be worth investigating. Even if he is, He didn't finish the sentence, but Sophie had a feeling she knew what he meant. Tiergan might have been the only elf besides Dex who didn't admire the backers, especially Alden. Tiergan had been close friends with Prentice and had pleaded for mercy on his friend's behalf after he'd been arrested. But Alden had gone forward with the tribunal and the memory break anyway, and Tiergan had never forgiven him. It had to be even harder for him now that the council was working to join forces with the Black Swan, especially since Tiergan had adopted Prentice's son and personally lived with the devastation of Alden and the council's decisions. But now that she thought about it, she couldn't help wondering what had made him so sure of Prentice's innocence. Did he know something about the Black Swan? The question was on the tip of her tongue when Tiergan told her, I need to take my place for the ceremonies. Will you be okay if I leave you here? He pointed to the line of level 3s. Of course. See you Tuesday, then. He'd vanished into the crowd before Sophie realized she'd forgotten to tell him about Sylvanie's transmitting. She'd have to wait for the first session. She tried to imagine how it would be having her, Fitz, and Tiergan alone in a small, plain telepathy room working so closely together. Just the thought made her heart feel fluttery. Ooh. She scanned the crowd to distract herself, shouting for Dex when she finally spotted him among the chaos. He shoved his way toward her, dragging 3 level 1s with him, 2 boys and a girl, all with wild strawberry blonde hair sticking out around their gremlin ears. "Hey," Dex said, tugging on Sophie's mastodon trunk and making a trumpeting sound. "Been looking everywhere for you." "I know, it's crazy here. I think I'd never find you." "Are these the triplets?" "Yep, Rex, Bex, and Lex. My dad thinks he's hilarious," he added when Sophie laughed at the rhyme. "Oh, you're Sophie?" The girl who Sophie assumed was Bex asked. "My brother talks about you all the time." "No, I don't, and get back here, Lex." Dex grabbed one of the boys by his furry collar and jerked him back to his side. "Yes, he does," the other boy, who had to be Rex, corrected, flashing a huge grin with a big black space where one of his front teeth was missing. "He likes you." "I do not." "Yes, you do." Sophie stared at her furry feet as all 3 kids made kissing noises, and Dex threatened to destroy everything they owned and drag them away. "Sorry," he said when he returned gremlin free. "My parents made me watch them." "I didn't realize there were going to be level 1s this year." Dex never talked about his siblings. They were kind of a sore subject. Multiple births were incredibly rare in the elven world, and quite a few people thought the triplets existed because Dex's parents had been a bad match. "Yeah, I'm not happy about it." He fidgeted with his left mastodon ear, unraveling a thread at the end. "I'm sure they said that, by the way." "Huh? When they said the thing about me." "Oh, wait, what is it?" "Yeah, I'm not happy about it." He fidgeted with his left mastodon ear, unraveling a thread at the end. "I'm sorry they said that, by the way." "Huh? When they said that thing about me." "Oh, it's fine. They're just giving you a hard time." Her sister had been a master tormentor when she was growing up, though she actually missed it now, crazy as it sounded. "Yeah," he mumbled, and they both stared at their feet until Morella and Jency joined them in line. Morella's ears hung crooked on her head, and she managed to get her furry bodysuit wrinkled. "Where's Bianna?" Jency asked, scratching at the collar of his costume, which hung loose on his skinny frame. Morella snorted. 10 Luster says she's hiding in the bathroom, not wanting anyone to see her in her trunk." Sure enough, Bianna joined them at the last possible second, though she still looked 10 times better than everyone else. She got in line behind Sophie right as the mentor called for silence. They gave instructions that didn't make any sense, probably because as a level 3, Sophie was supposed to know that stuff by now. She was glad she had Dex in front of her and could follow his lead. Dame Alina introduced each grade level as they marched into the stadium, and when all 6 levels were in position, the spotlights focused on the level 1s. Dame Alina gave a quick speech about the qualities of prodigies would be learning that year, and then the music started. A raspy tune that sounded like it was made of muffled growls, and the level 1 skulked and somersaulted, moving uncannily like the gremlins Sophie had seen at Havenfield. The audience cheered when they made their final bow, and then it was the level 2's turn. Sophie tried to pay attention as the Halcyons flapped and fluttered to a melody of high-pitched chirps, but she couldn't stop thinking, "We're next." "Just follow me," Dex whispered, as the Halcyons filed away and Dame Alina started her speech about teamwork and cleverness. Then their pounding, trumpeting song started, and all Sophie could think was, don't trip, and why do we have to do this?" As she filed out to the center of the stage, blinding spotlights flashed in her eyes and Sophie braced for a migraine. But all she felt was a dull buzzing as Dex squeezed her arm to cue her. Maybe Elwyn had fixed the problem. She couldn't tell for sure, but her head felt clear as she squinted at Dex to copy his movements. Her feet kept stumbling and her leg muscles burned, but she was surprised to realize she was smiling behind her stupid elephant trunk. She made the final series of twirls, nearly losing her footing, but managing to stay upright, then dipped an ungraceful curtsy. She did it. She didn't do it well, but she made it through a major school event without falling on her face, needing medical attention, or almost burning down the building. And even though she couldn't see them in the crowd, she knew Grady and Edeline were cheering for her like crazy. The rest of the dance passed in a blur, And then Dame Alina stepped up for the closing remarks. Sophie leaned on decks, not really listening to the speech, but something Dame Alina said caught her attention. Foxfire is about more than just a top-notch education. It's about helping our youth find their place in this world, discovering where they belong, and it is our goal that by the time they complete their studies, they're not only ready to handle whatever life throws at them, but to truly know who they are. Sophie gulped down the words like they were cold water in the scorching desert. She had the exact same goal, and for the first time in a few weeks, the future was feeling bright. Okay, I think I'll stop for today. That was 4 chapters. I hope you guys are enjoying. Miss you. Bye.